So I get things started here. So aloha.
Aloha.
Welcome to the 2016 January Natural Farming Meeting. Tonight we have 3 things on the agenda besides eating. And the first is kind of a time for us to have announcements, any testimonials you may have, like something that blew your mind you want to share with the group, and questions. So announcements, testimonials, and questions. So if you have any questions about natural farming, we'll kind of open that up here in the beginning. Then after that, gonna show a little presentation on the natural farming accomplishments that have gone on in the past year. And that, maybe you guys can give me some constructive feedback to that, because I'm supposed to present that with Laverne to the mayor coming up here in this month. So I'd like to get that real nice so that natural farming can remain as supported as it is and really thrive and get even and then the last thing is I'm going to go over the nutritive plant cycle. Plant nutritive cycle, that's a better way of saying it. So basically, what sprays to use at what stage of growth. So understanding natural farming from starting with seed soak all the way up to like enhanced ripening. And kind of going to go over that to give you a really good idea of how we use natural farming inputs. And so who's new here today?
Wow. Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming out. I hope you enjoy what you have this evening, and I hope you get to meet other natural farmers who are practicing, because there's a lot of good wisdom in this room. So one of the reasons to come here is also to get to know each other too. So.
Is there a place for new people to sign so they're on the contact list?
Yeah,
someone's handling that.
I put a sheet over here. Yeah, I was going to say that if you're new and want to sign on, name and email address on the table. There's a sheet.
So I'm going to open it up to announcements, questions, and testimonials.
Sorry, wait, we're here in the morning. The Hawaii Farmers Union United is having their monthly meeting this coming Sunday up at my mother and John's farm in Onomea. So it'll be Sunday, 3 p.m. We're going to do information sharing and then a skill share as well. So if anybody wants to go, you should ask them for directions. Yes.
What group is that?
The Hawaii Farmers Union United. I'll be here all evening.
Okay.
For directions later.
And so I'll fill in a little bit more detail on the HFUU, which basically it's a partnership organization. It's kind of natural farming is the cornerstone of that organization in terms of their education, but that's turned from into more the political thing. So reaching testimony. And also another reason to join that group is because when we go in front of the state and we want to get policy change, and you say, oh, there's like 10 people in my group, they don't listen to you. But if you can say, hey, look, the HFUU has 10,000 members over the state, then we have some clout. So I really encourage you to join that organization. So just to help us get things going, and it's all about regenerative agriculture. And I really recommend you come to the meeting because Ginger John's one of the best farmers. It's at his place, and it's all about, he told me, he's like, I want to party, I was like, all right, man, because sometimes you come there and you're like sitting in a cold air-conditioned room and you're like, man, I wish I was at a farm partying.
Say what you think.
And you can join by talking to Cheryl.
Yep, and we have an exciting legislative agenda, so we're definitely going to be doing some outreach for testimony. So, thanks, Jake.
Can I make an announcement that the meeting next month is going to be at Auntie Sally's? And maybe you can remind them at the end of the meeting, and that's next to the tennis stadium, for those of you that I knew. And if you don't know where it is, come to see me. It'll be at Auntie Sally's in February and June, and I'll remind you again in May. Okay?
Any other?
So, I'm James, guys. I've been working on a research project for 2.5 years on IMO4, and I have successfully gathered all of my data. It's taken a really long time, and now I'm learning more about Excel than I've ever thought I would need to know in the past. And I got a lot of preliminary data, which looks really confusing, possibly negative to the naive eye, but with me really discussing and deciphering what's going on in the soil and in the IMO, how it affects soil and how it affects plant growth, I think it'll really open some doors for the possibility for more research projects, which is, I think, one of the most important things that you can do is really incorporating either academic or some sort of research aspect to this so we can get some damn good scientific data and find out, at least in this environment, what do our numbers look like. I did everything from simple chemical, physical, and biological properties, pH, simple stuff from pH of the IMO samples all the way up to like dehydrogenase enzymatic activity, CO2 respiration, which really give me an indication of how many microorganisms are in there. I did fund this entire project myself, so I was kind of limited on what I could do, and I was able to research a lot of different methods that are certainly still accepted, but yet aren't using these big, crazy machines that we don't even have in the island, more or less the state. So I'm trying to play the game like a major leaguer in a minor league stadium, and so I got the email. Did everybody else? I know a lot of people got the emails about Mike DuPont finding resources for funding to see if we could find out exactly what microorganisms are in IMO4 samples, which is the only piece of the entire puzzle that I couldn't afford to do myself, and that's PCR genetic scanning and identification of down to species. That's a big price tag, guys, and he was able to find resources for that. So I'm actually bringing my samples that I've done all my analysis on to Mike, and so he could get it to Dr. Lee, and we can actually fill in that last piece of my research with the same samples and really find out, answer a lot of questions. And it's going to be fun to be able to present this in a way where I hope everybody understands we have a lot more questions. This creates a lot more questions than answers. And so if something looks like it's not going the way you thought it would, that's okay, because the experiment was only on a certain limited factors. Like, it wasn't continual application, it was one-time application, but there's no way to get funding for experiments on extended application or field application until you do the one-time and then that simple biological chemical properties. So I just hopefully cracked open the door just a little bit. I didn't kick it open or anything, but hopefully with this PCR data, this genetic data that would come out from Dr. Lee, it'll open it much further. So that's coming, and I'm hoping to present the thesis data hopefully February or March, but I'll let everybody know, or I'll have it trickle down. And if you want to attend, I could represent it,
Great.
or you can come and see me with my real jitters and see like the authentic scariness of it, and then see kind of, because I want people to experience it outside of the environment that you experience it in, i.e. us. I want you guys to be standing next to biologists and mycologists and then listen to the questions they're asking, because those are the same questions that you possibly, or maybe not, depends on what your opinion is on it, and that's the beauty of academics. You could take all my data and just be like, screw you, I'm doing it this way for the rest of my life, and that is perfectly fine. That's welcome to America. But I'm going to be at least doing my best to put it all on paper. So the thesis, I'm trying to keep it as small as possible. It might be upwards of 60 to 100 pages, so it might be a tough read. Maybe you just want to see me present it. So I'll see if I can afterwards present it, and then that's actually a really nice check mark to be able to present it to my peers. So, like I said, I literally have like a Bible's worth of Excel spreadsheets and data that I'm putting into graphs, and not until you get into the graphs can you start comparing the graphs with each other, because it's such a field, it's just a sea of data. There's no way I can look at all these data points and try to understand what the hell's going on. But what I can do is start on the graphs, which I've been doing for since January 1st. And so they're coming along, and I'm doing all the easy stuff first, right? Because that's the easiest way to do things. I'll let you know.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And if no one's seen IMO, we have some in the room. I brought the samples to be analysis, so you guys can come take a look. There's several back here.
So as you'll see in the presentation too, we've been doing a lot of academic things, and James has been one of the front runners doing that for us, so thanks. And so, any other announcements?
Yeah, I have a couple. Lisa Andrews, I met her today. She is working on
This we go.
the Mills garbage incinerator. I left some information there. They want to build it in Honolulu. So this tells all about it and what you can do to sign the petition if you're against it. And so this is a fact sheet about it, so you can be informed. And this weekend, we have two things going on down in Lower Puna. My name is Dana Keave. I'm from Kaupana. And I'm working with Jaya Pupuis. We are restoring Keohana Native Forest Reserve. And so I'll pass these around. It's every third Sunday of the month. It's right near Kalapana. It's about 3 miles above, right by Black Sand Subdivision. We provide, Val and Greg are on our kitchen crew. We make beautiful lunch made from produce from our natural farmers and our local farmers. So come join us if you'd like to learn about our invasive species as well as our native species and how to malama the forest. And the last thing is we have a group called Modern Apua'a, the next step. This is this was spearheaded by Uncle Robert Kiliho Omalu. He did a Ho'ohana sustainability event last year in the summer. Kalani Honua and Hawaiian Sanctuary are carrying the torch right now. And we got a $10,000 grant from our councilman Uvan to host these series. Every month we have presentations. It's all about food security. And so this Saturday, Lynn Howell will be there to teach us how to grow our own plants and to propagate our own seeds, how to collect them. And so come join us. It's a potluck, and there's a flyer there. I'll pass this around too. And this group is wonderful. We have a weekly, every Friday at the Permaculture Foundation of Hawaii in Oki'ikau. We have a work party there. And I'm excited. I'm going to lead into the next question. What I'm excited and enthusiastic about is that I'm combining natural farming with permaculture at the center. And so we make hugelkultur beds, and I mix up our IMO 4, 5. I mix up a beautiful potion, and I water these logs before we cover them. I water the soil above it. And I'm also combining it with something called lasagna composting, where they do the 3 layers. And so on the black layer, I'm also implementing IMO 5. And so it's something that's kind of revolutionary, and our permaculture community is very strong because they've been here longer and we're new. But I'm also combining Native Hawaiian planting styles as well, along in these different types of farming. And so this group, Modern Apua'a, a lot of the presentations we actually do, we actually do the things that are presented in those presentations at the Permaculture Foundation every Friday from 2 to 6. And you can find this on Facebook.
Are we gonna all introduce ourselves today?
Nope.
Oh. Hi, I'm David. How are you? Hey, I'm Drew. My name is Andrew. This is my father, Pete.
Anyone else?
And my dog, Mom. Sorry.
Hi, everybody. I'm Smiley Burrows, my husband Gerald. And we are the managers of Green Mountain, the Boho Crater, also known as Green Lake in Lower Puna. And we actually are here today because we were told by Michael Upton, who came today with Dinah Hopkins, for us to come. Michael DuPont, yeah, DuPont, sorry. Yeah, we met today, and he said it would be really great for us to come and introduce ourselves to the natural farming community. We have an educational nonprofit based on this beautiful place that we take care of. And we've been facilitating a lot of children's groups and all ages to come and learn about farming and nature and educating them with Hawaiian culture as well as sustainability. So I guess to kind of try to make it brief, we, with Pending Lava, we've very strongly come together in Lower Puna, and we're really working it. And we have a lot of, we, for example, every Monday also have a sustainability garden at Green Mountain. And we basically are an amazing place as an example for the world. And we're here today to invite everybody to come and participate with us. There's a few things that, you know, we already farm. We use IMO all the time, but we haven't facilitated creating our own yet. But one of the beauties that we do have is fresh water and dirt, and old uli forest and kukui forest, which is also some pasture land. So our goal is to integrate more livestock. We love to share as far as festivals. It's a beautiful space to hold workshops and education. So I definitely want to promote natural farming, learn more about it, and thanks for everything that all you guys do. We have a meeting coming up on February 8th for the Lower Kapoho community. We're organizing a general store, expanding everything locally, and trying to really create a good example and thrive. So, mahalo.
Smiley, do you have a website?
We do not have a website. I'm on Facebook with you, Smiley Burrows at AOL. Smiley Burrows at AOL is my email, and I'm on Facebook. We want to create a website, and we definitely intend on it. We have a lot of visions that are exciting to share, so yeah.
Anything else? Okay, I have a workshop coming up on January 31st at Kumukua House, which is just above the university and the dorms on Kumukua Street. And I'm going to be going over fermented plant juice, which is one of the 4 recipes for natural farming. And so I'm working with that, those people that live there, get it together, and there's an Eventbrite thing to sign up for it. So if you are interested in that, do let me know, and I will forward you the link to that because it's a really long URL. Not gonna memorize. So, and again, next meeting, February is going to be Auntie Sally's, so not here, but Auntie Sally's Luau House, which is right by the tennis table. So, that's it. So, I can go through this presentation and then we can eat, or we can eat now and then, because I got 2 presentations to do. So, show of hands, who wants to eat now?
Split.
All right, so
Intermission.
split it to the middle, sorry. Okay.
Those who want to eat, go eat.
Well, lucky this one is relatively quick. And do you want to help me with this, or?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, and I will do it alone too. So basically what I wanted to do was to summarize up what we've been doing with natural farming. And so that's what this presentation is about. I put this together in the hour I had between getting off work and coming to this meeting. So it still needs feedback, so please give me some. So, yeah, that's good. So one of the things we've been doing this last year is we've trained up some teachers here. This group of people here trained with Master Cho on his advanced training. And we've been going out and teaching people because that's kind of what he told us to do. And so from just a few teachers here, who's taking a class from Dr. Park? All right, you're one of these 700. And so if you think about that, in about 2 years' time, he's taught over 700 people. That's like a person a day. So Dr. Park is a rock star. Then we have Kim Chang sitting right here, and she's instructed about 400 people over the past 2 years. Let's say, right? Because that's okay. So maybe the past 5 years then in that case. And then I, in the last 2 years, have taught about 300 people and also trained about 12 interns. And who's the intern? Raise your hand. No, he's not. Where do you go? And then Jackie Snyder?
No, she was.
So she taught a class too at her Sweet Cane Cafe, and about 25 plus people came by, learned about natural farming. Chris Trump has been running the workshops in Kohala side, and he's taught about 100 plus people. Plus he's working with a learning center in Kohala, down Ho'ea Road. And so he's taught about 100 people. And so we estimate that about 1,500 people have taken natural farming classes in like the last 2 to 3 years. And so we've reached out to a lot of people. And one of the big things and the reasons for people converting over to natural farming is because we have no smell chickens and pigs. So no smell, no cleaning. And so lots of people have just started at their own home. You know, if you're raising pigs and you find out you can do it with no smell, they start to implement some of the natural farming methods. And then once they do that, then they're interested in getting into more of the things that natural farming has to offer. And a lot of this has been successful because of KTA and Ace Hardware having the IMO bag. So you may have seen it there. And that's been really great exposure to getting more and more people into that. And we've also installed the 100th Hubble Bubble this year. So, shout out to my this is a design that he's made for a really low-cost chicken coop anywhere. And so we put in over 100 of them around the islands. and so people are enjoying eggs and chicken meat with no smell. We've also been pretty busy with publications this year. I got the most low-res picture you could find. If you have a higher res one, please send it to me. And there's a copy of it right there. But this year, David Ikeda was able to write kind of a curriculum based on the information from Master Cho and his information, and created a student curriculum along with a teacher's manual. And so hopefully we'll be bringing that into Hawaii Community College and also making that available for other people that want to have learning resources available. Kim Chang wrote a natural farming manual that she showed me, and it's super excellent. So it takes a lot of work to do this. So it's so she got one together. Thank you. Kaika and Diga down in Dragon Eye, down in High Farms Road, they wrote a book on their poultry experience. They raised a bunch of poultry like a couple years ago, and learned a whole lot about how to implement natural farming. So they wrote a book. And then we have Liz and Mike Hubble here, and they published a book this past year, right? On how to raise the hogs and also the chickens, and their experience with that. And that book includes also their experience raising the food for the animals using natural farming as well. And Liz is here, and she has copies of the book, so if you're interested. And then Mike DuPont, who was already mentioned, he's been really avid in natural farming, and he's been able to work with a few authors to publish 7 papers through the UH-CTAR system. And so this is monumental because when the UH puts their logo on the paper, then they can't argue and say it doesn't work, because it's their own information. They'd be arguing against themselves. So by publishing more into the UH system, we've been able to gather credibility. You may talk to someone and they tell you it works really well, but it's really coming down to the science and the nitty-gritty for broader acceptance. And we made huge strides this year in that. And there's Mike DuPont right there.
Perfect timing.
I get good news, yeah. Brother Drake, next month, you guys can use Komoana. The Komoana office is now open.
Yay!
So what I need to have you do is you gotta look at the contract. When you come to my office, you fill them out, yeah. And is Jackie gonna be using the room 2 for Hawaii Farmers United?
She may at times.
So have her come see me
Okay.
so I can fill out that and give them. What is kind of neat is we be able to do a symposium because we have breakout sessions now. Get 4 meeting rooms, not just 1. So we can have a big seminar and then have breakout sessions if we do the symposium, yeah?
Nice.
Really well supported. This year we've been doing some stuff on outer islands. Mike and I traveled to Molokai earlier this year, and we were able to teach about 40 plus students there, and also some of them came to the Big Island to train too, so it's starting to grow on Molokai. I think there's about 5 active teachers on Oahu, and they've been doing small workshops and getting things going there. And then Ray Maki is on Kauai Island, and he's working with somebody else that I can't recall the name of, but they've been doing landscape businesses and introducing natural farming by coming and landscaping your place with natural farming, and then it's been piquing interest that way. getting people into it. And then Vince Mina, who's the president of the Hawaii Farmers Union United, has been pretty active on Maui. He's been, they do the soil body mind conference every year. That's really big, and he's been introducing people to regenerative ag and natural farming. This year we've been able to get into the public schools. They've been really, really awesome and open to me working at Kalanahanahole School. And I put a picture up here of me and the governor when he came to visit, because I figured that's pretty legit. But he came to check it out, and I even got him to look through the microscope and see what's going on in the soils. And when I was telling him about the no-smell pigs, he was like, "Oh, is that like GMO?" And I'm like, "No." So it's always fun to like change people's perspectives on like ancient technology being the most cutting-edge thing there is out there. Also, when I was on Molokai, we got to go to Manaloa School and talk to the entire elementary school. So it was like 150 students there. And they're starting to work with the food corps to get things together. So hopefully there'll be more development there. And then Julius is on Oahu, and he's been really transforming Palolo School. And they completely changed their school by bringing natural farming in. Kids that didn't want to go to school and just, they brought farming in, and now everyone wants to go to school. Like they're really into it. And I had a kid today, it's a brand new semester, and I had a kid tell me, "Oh, agriculture is my favorite class." That's sweet. And so we've been doing a lot of scientific development. I should probably add James to this one here. But basically being able to understand this natural farming through a microscope. So even though it works and you just throw it down and it works, you can actually study and see why it's working. And as we're getting that together, it's helping us get into these other institutions. And Elaine Ingham was pretty pivotal in 2012, bringing that knowledge here. And you can check her thing out. If you just search Elaine Ingham on the web, she's about to host a online web class. So if you're really interested in the soil food web and soil science, please scour the internet for that. And also, I've just been noticing in the news, there's been all kinds of things coming out of microorganisms making a difference. Like the other day, NPR ran a story on how they hadn't found any effective antibiotics for like 20 years or something. And then they took the culture, they put it into soil because they're trying to culture it in a lab and they couldn't get it to grow. They took it, they put it into soil, it grew in the soil, then they pulled it out and they're like, "Oh hey, look, it grew." And so they're becoming natural farmers.
Jake, on the microscopy side, I got the Marine Science Department at UH to donate like 12 hours on the scanning electron microscope. If you've ever seen those wonderful images of, it looks like three-dimensional, very close-up images of soil and microorganisms. You can see the whole bacteria in that. They're going to be doing analysis on these samples. So we're going to be putting them under, put a little gold dust on top to illuminate it, and then really get some great images. So if nothing else comes out of this experiment, I'm going to have a nice little stack of some SEM photos that everybody can use and look at and all that stuff. So thumbs up to UH for donating that. It's something like $500 an hour, and so they donated like 12 hours. So it's pretty significant. And gold dust. Come on, they're just literally. That's pretty sweet.
UH has been really turning around on this. This was like one of the sweetest pictures. Again, it's stock photography. I was looking for a picture of Richard Onishi and I couldn't find it. I gotta get to the meeting. We presented to Dean Gallo about natural farming, and so she's, I think, the head of CTAR, and so she's aware of natural farming, and one of the things I should mention to this is Mike DuPont is now the official CTAR natural farming agent.
Yay! Go Mike!
So CTAR is really recognizing natural farming. They didn't create a position for it. I was talking the other night with Russell Nagata, which I said this last month, so by last night I mean like 40 days ago. And he was saying that he practices natural farming at home. So he works at CTAR, but when he's in his home garden, he's using natural farming. And we've also been embraced by Scott Enright. He's been really supportive of natural farming, and he's the head of the Department of Agriculture for the state. And just fun fact, that the Department of Agriculture gets less than 0.5% of the budget. So think about that, think of like a percentage, like how important is food to you? Not even 1%. It's less than 0.5%. So our agriculture, state agriculture is getting less than 0.5%. But Scott is in charge of that and helping people agriculturally. And so if we join the Farmers Union and we get momentum going there, then we can get more money coming to the Department of Ag, and then the Department of Ag can help us out more. So, and then I just kind of left this incomplete, this slide completely. I just wrote Richard Onishi. But he's a state representative, and he put out a bill to support natural farming this past legislative session. And we need more people to come out and testify for it and to join the Farmers Union United so that we can say, hey look, we got 10,000 people that want this instead of like 5. And also Senator Russell Ruderman has also been pretty active, and he's, what?
Sorry, really quick, you said last session he put out that bill. Is he putting the same bill out this session?
I hope so.
Okay, you don't know yet, okay.
No, yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
I think they just switched, like the new session starting.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just starting. Okay.
So it's already written, and we could, if we push that out, I think we'll
Okay,
be good.
I'll look for it, thank you.
And Senator Russell Ruderman from Puna, he's a member of the Hawaii Farmers Union United. And so he's been also supportive and helping to sponsor natural farming things through his own, he owns Island Naturals, and so he's health-oriented and trying to promote that just from his own general well-being, but also from his political staff too. We're close to the end here, so and so one of the things I wanted to bring across, and I kind of got to edit this one a bit, but is that natural farming works at all scales. It's been really successful with backyard gardeners, but also now we're starting to see success from commercial farmers who have started to implement this on like 200 plus acre size farms. And I think one of the most important things in natural farming has been kind of my development along with other people of just the more you practice, the more you gain a broader understanding and a deeper understanding. And that being able to go, like I said, 0 to 60 in the first year, which is kind of slow if you're driving a car, but if you're a fungus that's this small, that's pretty fast. And so understanding that so that we can help to spread it and do things like this. Let's see. And then we got are organizations that are kind of helping to promote natural farming. There's CGNF Hawaii, which is that board meeting that you saw happening here before this meeting. And it's a nonprofit, and their main missions are promotion, education, and I don't know, should know on the board member. There's three things.
Improve.
And improve things, yeah. And we just came out with our mission statement, so we're gonna get that out and to promote that organization more. And then Natural Farming Hawaii, kind of my freestyle thing that I've been doing here. The last meeting was our 5th year meeting, so this is our 5th plus 1 month. And I figure basically over a year, about 500 people come through the meetings. I may be counting certain people a couple times, but they show up. And like you see here, we got like, what, 30, 40?
39 so far.
Somewhere between 30 and 50 people. Okay?
41 so far.
And then also I run the website through this, and it gets 1,000 hits a month. And believe it or not, the most trafficked part of it is coming from the Philippines. So they're really interested in this because it's it's a low-cost method. Plus, you don't have to go buy things. You can just make it all right on your farm. And then the Hawaii Farmers Union United is getting started. Some really core good people on that board. I encourage you to join again for the 7th time. And Korean natural farming is kind of the cornerstone of that organization. So it's like, right. And it's time to eat. Yeah. Thanks. So,
Good work.
So what we'll do is, I think the plates and stuff are still out my phone. Where is there plates in here? Okay, because I have plates off my car too.
Well, you weren't even in the way.
Okay, they're under the table. So what we'll do is we're just let's get in a big circle, and then who knows Hilo Mine? So those of us that know it, we'll go and just say Hilo Mine, but we can get together. Yes. So just a little bit about Hilo Mine. It's a traditional Hawaiian. Talk about revealing that hidden wisdom, and I feel that in natural farming, the microorganisms we work with are really hidden, and so that it's really an applicable chant for natural farming. So, and you'll notice it says "Eho mai" 3 times in a row. So if you don't know the words, you can join in on that part.
O mai kai ke mai luna mai e O na mea una noea o na mele E o mai E o mai E o mai E o mai kai ke mai luna mai e Una mea una noea ona mele E o mai E o mai E o mai E o mai kai ke mai una mai
So let's help ourselves, and then after we get settled again, then I'll do some stuff up here. So please,
This is my dog Molly. She's cool.
I should send you the results of
I wanted to do the plant nutritive cycle because I thought that was really pertinent and really useful for people to know. Because there's been some confusion on it. And I'd also like to say thank you for the really good food. It was really good. Thank you, everybody. So I want to start this part off by saying that anybody that's new here, you want to note down this website here, which is naturalfarminghawaii.net. This is where I put up, like, some audio recording. I remind myself. I'm audio recording this, and I audio record a lot of these things so that way I can put these resources online and you can share it with your friends, and also these slides here so you can get more natural farming word out. And that goes on naturalfarminghawaii.net. Tons of good stuff there, lots of videos, really informative site. So what I wanted to start off here is with a little disclaimer that manipulating and assisting the plant nutritive cycle is advanced natural farming. You may damage your plants. So if you don't feel comfortable, solely use the maintenance spray. And because it came up stock when I picked this slide with young apple seed, I thought that was appropriate. I just left it. He didn't really say that. It was Apple put that in there. But just to let you know that you can alter and manipulate your plants this way, for good or for bad. So just be aware. So, and if you don't know what the maintenance spray is, here it is. It's Oriental Herbal Nutrient, diluted 1 to 1,000. Brown rice vinegar, diluted 1 to 500. And fermented plant juice, diluted 1 to 500. And I just put that in there to give continuity to that. And this is the base recipe we're going to be working off of. And I'm going to give all the recipes at the end of this presentation. So it's going to be a little bit of Mickey Mouse hand waving stuff, but I hope that that's worth it. So in natural farming, there are 5 stages and 5 solutions to what we're working with. Besides establishing your soil foundation, which is what we talked about last month. So everyone did that, right?
What's that?
So what we start with is a seed soak solution, then a leaf and growth to make it grow, then a root, flower, and structure solution that helps the plant to stretch out, then a fruit as your plant starts to fruit, or if you don't have a fruiting thing, it stops there. And then an enhanced ripening in the last 2 weeks of harvest. So that's what I'm going to be going over here, and I'm going to start with the seed soak. So just like a mom takes care of her baby, that's what we're doing with the seed soak. It's like we're nurturing a little infant because our seeds are little babies, and so we build a seed soak solution and we soak our seeds in it. And what it does is it helps your plant to get big and strong. And one of the main things is it coats your entire plant in microorganisms from its seed stage. So as it grows bigger, there's not going to be a hole in it because there weren't microbes there. And the microorganisms actually live in your seed. And so when you hear, if you read the Master Cho's books and you hear about weak seeds, like he'll talk about how today's seeds are weak. It's because they don't have the microorganisms in it anymore. We're living in such a sterile environment that the goodness in there, it's like it doesn't have part of its skin. So holes in its skin. And so the microbes actually get into the seed. So as you start to breed things in natural farming and you're introducing good microbes, your seeds will actually be stronger because those same microbes are going to travel to the next place you sow your seeds. You don't have to put IMO if they're in the seed already. So IMO helps, but you're also putting IMO in the seed. And so we can stimulate that by soaking our seeds. And also the cotyledons, which are the leaves that are in the seed, and those two dicotyledons or monocots that come out in the beginning, those leaves are actually in the seed. And when you use this seed soaked solution, it's told that your cotyledons will be twice as big. So your leaves that were in your seed grow out to be twice as big, which gives your plant already that boost. Because those, they're not growing from any other factor that they were in the seed and how fast they can grow out. And the seed soak helps them get bigger. So that's the reasoning behind the seed soak here. Then I'm going to move on to the next stage, which is leaf and growth. And so it can be thought of as making the plant grow solar panels and meat, which is the leaves. So it's the meat component of growing. And essentially it's the maintenance spray plus fish amino acids in there. And what that natural farming input is of fish amino acid is really easily available, already simplified, broken down amino acids. And when a plant is first starting to grow, it can't synthesize its own aminos very well. So if you supply those through this process, it can help it grow DNA really fast and replicate really fast to get that extra boost. And so, so that's the point of that. But if you're using it too much, like if I just use the leaf and growth spray, I'm going to make my plants soft and susceptible to pests. If you're too meaty, then you have problems. The next part, or the next spray, is the root, flower, and structure spray. And this one is, so if you see the difference between this one where you got this character out there, and then this one, we got this character, they're kind of polar opposites of each other, right? And so this is the polar opposite of the other one, that it makes the plant grow bones and its structure underneath. So the leaf and growth makes it grow meat, and then this one lets it grow bones underneath. So that you need both there. And so what helps it to grow bones is the maintenance spray plus water-soluble calcium phosphate, which calcium phosphate comes from dissolving charred bones in vinegar. So when you put the bones back, it helps it to grow bones and structure. The other thing that this does is it helps to transfer the energy that when you grow a bunch of solar panels and they've collected all this energy in its leaves, it helps it to transport it into the core of the plant and other places. So I feel like I've lost you guys in this. I maybe should have phrased it a little bit better. But so it helps to transfer. So you grow a bunch of solar panels, you get a bunch of energy, and then you spray the calcium phosphate or this root, flower, and structure spray, and that helps it to move it throughout the plant and also build its root structure. And this one, if you overuse it, your plants will get kind of wiry and stringy. And you can say that I have too much calcium phosphate. And then the last or not, well, the second to last part up here, is the last stage of growth is the fruit, seed, and reproduction. So this is where you're transferring the energy of the plant into its seeds or its fruits. And so what mechanism makes that happen is calcium. And calcium, there's calcium in the water, soluble calcium phosphate, but this is just pure calcium, and it helps to move the nutrients. You've collected all these great things in your solar panels. It helps to transform them into more complex sugars and move into your plant and its seeds. So what I want to show, so those were the first three of the seed soak, the growth, the structure, and the fruiting. So I wanted to go to this here, which is basically when you're growing your plant, you're going to alternate between leaf and growth and the root and structure. So you're going to alternate your plant between, if you apply this one, then the next time you're going to apply this one. And the next time you apply that one, this one here. And so when you do that, what you end up with is this balance in between. This good, lean cut guy that is the best cartoon I can find on the internet. And you get this nice balance. So by alternating back and forth, you can guide your plant to be this really robust, great thing that you want to work with. And so if your plant is too far this way, what you do is you apply the root and structure, and it brings it back over here. And if you're too far this way, you apply this, and it brings it back over there. You know, so you can use these two sprays. So when you're looking at your plant and you think, wow, it looks pretty stringy, then you should apply the leaf and growth, and it'll bring it back into this balance. And if it's too heavy that side, or it's really being susceptible to pests and it's soft, then you can apply root and structure, and it'll bring it back to get that balance. So they're kind of opposites of each other. And so in natural farming, one of the most important things you can do is it's the transition between your plant growing up and being like an awkward teenager to then being able to reproduce here. And in this middle stage, you know, like when women get pregnant, they get morning sickness. It's that same upset of that hormonal transition, going from being, you know, like growing and all of a sudden starting to reproduce. And that causes immense stress in your system. So it's the most important, because if you spend all this time growing this great, amazing tree, and then it goes through its transition to start reproducing, and you can't make that transition over, you're not going to get much fruit. But if you grow this nice, amazing tree, and then you assist it as it's starting to change its hormones and balance to go this other way, then it'll translate all that energy into your fruit. And so the most important stage is what they call a crossover period here. And it's traditionally like sour foods is what they say that really helps. And those are like high in phosphoric acid. And anyone have an example of a sour food?
Pickles. Unripe tomatoes.
Lemons.
Yeah, so those types of things, those are what you want to make ferments out of and feed your plant when you notice it's in between this stage. And I have some pictures later to show you. And
so vinegar would count because that's what pickles are made with?
Yep, and vinegar is also important in this stage to make this transition.
And that's phosphoric acid?
Yep, and if you look in the natural farming recipe book, there's actually a recipe for phosphoric acid specifically. And also any cola is full of it. So go take Pepsi and put it around it. You're good.
Is phosphoric acid the same as phosphorus?
I'm unsure on that, but probably it's phosphoric acid. I know is like a soluble as an acid, so its ions are make it soluble. But I don't know. Ick and ate.
Maybe it has phosphorus and it's
Yeah, it's just a different, how it's ionized is the difference. And so if you make, I've heard if you make FPJ for unripe fruit, that's also a way to really get the phosphoric acid in there. So this is what the crossover period looks like in a lime tree. So it's not this one here, which this is where it's putting out its flower. This is actually still, so you can see it from the shadow where I'm pointing, right? So this one is just where it's still flowering. But you see here where it's actually put out your fruit. And so this right here where it has the fruit, this is your crossover period. Because it's just like when when you get morning sickness, you don't get it when you're like ripe and like ready. You get it once you're already pregnant, right? And so this is the same. Like this is kind of like its little baby going there. So it's trying to make that transition. So, and you'll also notice in the lime tree there's other undifferentiated, like these are still yet to flower things. And so in the lime tree I'm actually having all these things happen at the same time. So I'll explain that a bit later, but I just wanted to show you basically the differentiation. Like if you see it flowering, it's not quite in the crossover yet. It's actually once it's put a little fruit there. And that's making that transition now. And I did the same with the lychee tree, because I had these at my house, so they're easy for me to take pictures where I could really get clear definition. Where this one here, where it still has the flowers on there, not quite crossover yet, but now that the flowers fell off and it's tiny fruits, now crossover. So that's the time that it's the most critical time. So I see that happening. I should increase my phosphoric acid and my sour foods and my cal-phos, because phosphorus is in there. And so this here is to show you kind of a typical pattern of how they would be used. So this, I just picked call. You could pick any kind of crop that's going to go through a cycle, grow, and then reproduce. You could use a sweet potato here, or any kind of crop like that. It's going to have a similar pattern, where basically you start over here at the beginning, and you start with a seed soak. So that's that first week, and each one of these squares is a week. So my first week I did a seed soak. And then in the very beginning of the plant's life, it's really just wanting to grow. And so what I'm going to do is put the leaf and growth on there. So sure enough, I just leaf and growth for the first 4 weeks of its life. I just give it the leaf and growth. And that helps it start to grow, get big, all that DNA really start to help it boost in the beginning. And then I start to alternate here between, once I notice it's like, when you have a baby, the baby gets kind of chubby, and that's like a good thing. And then you start to feed it other foods, and then they get taller, and they go through these kind of cycles. It's the same thing. So you make it a little chubby in the beginning, but then you give it the root, flower, and structure here to make it straighten up. And then you alternate that. And this is where your observation loop can come into it, of seeing, is my plant, does it look more stringy or more meaty? And then you can make your decision on which spray you're going to do. But basically just a run across, if you just keep alternating it. This is just like a real shotgun approach to giving you an example here. And then with taro, at a certain point, the plant grows really, really big and tall, and then it starts to shrink down. And the leaves will start to shrink, and it'll get smaller and smaller. And so what's happening at that point is the plant is transferring all of its energy from growing big and small, and it's putting it down into its corm to make that nice starchy corm at the bottom. And so that's the point where it's hit its crossover, this changeover period right here, where it starts to hit this point where it starts to shrink. And that's where you can start using the fruit spray here. So the F there. And you just alternate the fruit and the root here until the end. And then over here where it's, just the last little bit, you want to make sure it has an easy way to transfer its energy into the root. And then the last 2 weeks here are this enhanced ripening spray. So just in the very last bit, you're going to kind of, enhanced ripening has a little bit stronger seawater in it. And that seawater kind of stresses the plant out a little bit to make sure it's like, oh, I gotta put all my energy into my seed because I'm stressed. So maybe the next generation will do better. So you induce that little bit with the enhanced ripening at the end to really get things going. So, and then this, I just kind of made this up here because fruit trees are kind of hard to model because they're really long-term crops, but just that same pattern that I wanted to put up here, and this time for a fruit tree. So you see in the beginning, I seedling treat it, and then I give it the growth spray in the beginning, and then I start alternating root leaves, root leaves, root leaves. And then once I notice it begins to flower here, at this point right here, that it starts to flower, then I put this root flower here a lot, because that extra phosphorus starts to help and get it to flower and flush really good. And then once the fruits appear, then you switch and you're putting more of the fruit spray because it's fruiting here. And then you can alternate fruit and leaf. And so just because it's in a certain stage, you can still apply the other sprays of the roots and the leaves, and kind of alternating here. And I don't know anyone who sprays weekly on a fruit tree, but if you're really making a lot of money, you probably could. And then your last little bit here of just enhanced ripening. So if you know your fruits are going to be, you're 2 weeks away from harvest, you can put the enhanced ripening. And you're just kind of cycling those through. And then I put this one up here too. This is a pattern for lettuce, which clearly you're not going to have all the enhanced ripening and all that stuff because it's such a quick crop. It's in 4 to 6 weeks from sowing to harvesting. So you're just doing seedling treatment, a couple leaves, maybe one root in there to help you out, and more leaf. And so you're kind of going through and alternating that, but it's really quick turnover in lettuce. And then here are the recipes that I put here. So I maybe should have shown this first to give kind of some continuity through my whole talk. Yeah.
Did you say that this is on the website as well?
This will be. You're getting it live right here, right now. Yeah. So and I said that this talk would kind of follow on last month's talk because last month I kind of went over each of these and what they do. And if you look at this column right here under the reason, you can kind of see how that reason translates across to each of these. Like for instance, here in the leaf and growth here, I don't need a fruit juice nutrition, and then I don't need bones, and I don't need seeds or minerals because I want it to grow leaves. So I want it to grow flesh and some helpers, And so you see how these recipes correspond to what I was presenting about the reason to do that. And I think I'll put it at the beginning of the presentation next time. Did this tie it all together for everyone?
Yeah, it's right there. You can see it.
Talk about how they get stronger as they're stored longer and they need less, yes?
Yeah. Okay, so there was a question about some of the inputs, and if you store them for multiple years, they'll get stronger. and so you can dilute less. So this dilution up here is just straight out of the book type dilution. But if you know that they're a year old, for instance, in the case of OHN, you increase that one to 2,000. And if you stored your FPJ for more than 3 years, it actually becomes for fruits, not for growth here.
The other ones get stronger too, FAA and WCP, do those get stronger this year?
I'm unsure of that. I'm not sure. I go through them too quickly. So this is my last slide. So any questions here on this? Was I clear?
Yeah, it was really good.
I
No, it was
like
good.
last time was more clear. I don't know.
I know.
Maybe the ocean water stored longer when you get the stronger spring. In Korea, the county that they encourage with natural farming, they're very far from the ocean. They bring these truckloads of the ocean water, and then they store on the ground. They have a cement, big human tank. They store that ocean water. They said as time goes on, it's like a wine. And, the longer the wine life, then they get more expensive, yeah? They get strength.
Does the water evaporate?
I don't know exactly how the things happen, but the concentration is stronger, so we want to have low pollution.
Dr. Park, do you know if the FAA, WCP, and WCA get stronger each year as it's stored?
That, I'm not sure, but fortunately, those things are easy to make, relatively speaking. For example, the OHN is really hard to make one, yeah. So that, the longer you store that OHN is really, really stronger. So that's one thing you always have to remember. You make one OHN, large quantity that you can use a long, long life.
Where do we find the recipes to make these OHN?
True notes. They're listed on the website. There's a lot of resources there, and then I know you're just visiting it, right? But locally we have classes on these, because to learn how to make each of these inputs, you really need to learn hands-on things, because it really helps you get good quick. So any other questions?
Dr. Park,
I can answer some questions.
Park,
Yes.
I've been hearing rumors that Master Cho is coming to Hawaii. Is that true?
Well, it's kind of true and not sure, but for some unknown reason, the daughter, she is kind of separated from the father. So right now, I still, when I call, no answer. So what's going on is a question. On the other hand, the Master Cho's son, he is really, really strong. Not only he learned all these things from the father, and he graduated, he majored analytical chemistry. So he learned a lot of, it originated from the father, but he learned a lot from the modern science in terms of chemistry, especially the analytical kind of chemistry. So he invented or he developed natural farming, natural farming, the pesticide. So he has really invented a strong medium to make any kind of natural pesticide. And called Chaban sulfur and Chaban oil. If you combine these things, you can control any kind of bugs or insects or even the germs.
Sulfur and what?
He has some kind of formula to make it sulfur, which is a very strong killing function, but not dangerous. So he knows it, this analytical chemistry, he knows what level you can. Sulfur is very harmful in your body, but if you use a certain strength, it's still safe, and you still can attack the bad guys, like insects that you don't want to multiply. So he invented that. I mean, if he has a pattern, the special pattern on that, he could be a millionaire or billionaire. But he announced, I'm telling you this, any farmers can do this. Nobody will pattern on this one. So that one plus the oil, which is a sticker. If you combine these things, you can pretty much control almost all kinds of pesticides, insecticides, things like this. So he's very popular in Korea. In fact, he was supposed to be invited in Turkey, it's international organic farming seminar. He was invited as a speaker. But somehow there is some political things happening, so they canceled. But in Korea, he's really big now. And now he and the father is kind of
Friends now again.
yeah. So I felt bad that the daughter is big, but the more important thing is for the whole aspect of the national farming. I think the good thing happened is the father was close to the son. So if I have a chance, then I'm going to go meet both father and son, and then in fact, I wanted to see whether the son can come to either Hawaii or anywhere in the States. It's really, really good. And this Dr. Lee, K.Ho. Lee, I don't know whether might remember him.
I have his presentation online.
He was there,
Yep.
yeah. He is very famous in Korea. And when he has a seminar, 5,000 people come. And he is really, really anyway, so it's a natural, not only just national chore, just to see the natural farming, but this is flowering a lot in Korea. And so hopefully, if we can invite those people, we will do a lot better than just natural chore now. This is next level.
So for you guys that don't know, this is Dr. Park, and this is how he's taught over 700 people. It's just full of information, and it's just It's 8 o'clock, so thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you.